So we're going to start this video off by asking a question. Now, in the near 20-year history of bait finesse, there have been several bait finesse reels that have come out. But what is the rarest bait finesse reel of all time? Could it be Shimano's ultra expensive, long discontinued Cardiff 50 DC, the only bait finesse reel ever to feature Shimano's DC brakes? And that's a good answer, but I'm gonna say no on that, because even though it was rare back in 2009 when it was introduced, you can still go on eBay and find used examples going for ridiculous money. Now, over in the DAIWA camp, there's a reel that I feel is even rarer than the Cardiff, and that is the Pixie SPR. Now, the SPR was a specialized version of the Pixie that is one of the very few DAIWA reels that came with centrifugal brakes. And I couldn't find any of those reels on eBay when I searched just a couple of hours ago. But no, the Pixie SPR is not the rarest bait finesse reel in the world. That honor belongs to this reel right here, the DAIWA Liger 30. And what makes this reel the rarest bait finesse reel in the world? Well, the answer is this. This is a KDM reel only, and KDM stands for Korean Domestic Market. And when I say only, I mean only. You can only buy this reel only if you physically live in South Korea. So since I live in America, how did I get my greasy, grubby mitts on this ultra rare Korean Domestic Market reel? And to answer that question, let's go into a story. Now, about a year ago, a friend of the channel named Billy offered to send me several reels to test, do videos on, and then send it back to him. And among those reels was a DAIWA Liger 30. Now, the DAIWA Liger 30 is being sold here in America as the LEWS Custom Light, but the Liger 30 itself has been around for almost 3 years. Now, I was aware when the Liger 30 came out 3 years ago, and I saw that it came in a shallow spool bait finesse version, and I tried my hardest to buy one of those. I went on eBay, I went on Amazon, I tried different avenues to try to purchase one, but to no avail. Now, in case you didn't know, there are a couple of companies in Korea that manufacture fishing tackle for the majority of the fishing tackle brands in the world. There's Banax, and then there's DAIWA. So DAIWA makes reels for companies like LEWS, of course, and then Abu Garcia, Bass Pro Shops, and a few other brands. But apparently they have a super strict contract in place to where they can't sell their own DAIWA branded reels anywhere but their home market of South Korea. So that's probably why I couldn't even find one of these reels on eBay. And in fact, other than the DAIWA Korea channel, I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 videos on this reel, probably even rare in Korea. So anyway, back to the story. I get the Liger 30 from Billy. I do an unboxing and analysis video on it, and I like it so much that I sent out a message to all the viewers who watched that video that if you know how to get the shallow spool for that reel, please contact me and let me know. And the plan was to get the spool and then get a custom light and make my own little bait finesse reel that no one else has. So shortly after that video, I get an email from one of my subscribers, and he informs me that he can get me what I'm looking for in the form of that shallow bait finesse spool. And he can get it because he actually lives in South Korea. So naturally, I jump on the chance, and even though he's basically a stranger, I trust that he'll follow through on his word. I would PayPal him the money, and then he would mail me the spool. And at that point, I would have to purchase my own LEWS custom light to put the spool in, of course. Then I remembered that over in Korea, apparently you can buy a company's tackle right off of their website. And over in South Korea, buying tackle directly from the manufacturer is truly next level. Something not available in Japan, and definitely not available here in America, and let me show you what I mean. Okay, so I'm here over at DAIWA Korea's website, and let me show you why I opted to get the entire reel instead of buying the LEWS Custom Light. Now let me close these little, I guess, pop-ups here, but I'm gonna go to product or shopping mall, and I'm gonna go to reel, and I guess we'll go for bait reel, freshwater only, and it'll come up with the page of all their freshwater only bait casters. And take a look at all these options. Now if they look familiar, if they kind of look like your LEWS or your Bass Pro Shops reel, it's because this company makes those reels. So we're going to go to the Liger 30. Alright, let's make sure that this is all translated to English. Okay, so when you're shopping for a reel directly from DAIWA, you get to do some customization. So here's the reel. You get to choose the gear ratio in right or left hand. So let's say 8.3 right-handed, and then you can actually change your handle and knobs. And then you have this section here where you can have additional options. So let me show you what these options are. So here's the Liger 30. You can see it comes with a 30mm spool. It shows you the features. Of course, this is all in Korean, so I can't read it. Gives you a little bit of information on how the brakes work, what the frame and side plates are made of, and then here's some options right here. So it comes with, I guess, the standard deeper spool. You can get a slightly shallower spool if you want, and you can get the super shallow bait finesse spool. And it gives you some more information on, I guess, how to use the different features that the reel comes with. More pictures. And then it gives you handle and knob options. So that's definitely something you don't get from the Japanese companies, and it's definitely something you can't do here. So look at the knob options you can customize your reel with. They got these new, I guess, aluminum flat knobs. Look kind of bulky to me. You got these really thin knobs. You can option for power handle and knobs, different lengths, different materials. I guess you can get carbon fiber if you want, or aluminum. So yeah, just the customization options available so you can get the exact reel that you want is truly next level over there in South Korea. So we're going to scroll all the way back up. So here you can pick what kind of handle and knobs you want, and of course it tacks on a little bit of extra cost to your reel. And then here you can pick which spool you want. You can get an extra handle if you want. So yeah, it is truly next level, and I really look forward to the day where I can order a Shimano CURADO and pick what kind of spool, what kind of handle, and possibly what other kind of options, so I get the exact reel that I want. So let's go back to the unboxing. So basically I configured the reel that I want, and the subscriber tells me how much it would cost to make it, as well as ship it over here to America. And trust me guys, this reel is not cheap. I think it costs around $340 to $350 total. But either way, I'm very excited, and I wire him the funds and just cross my fingers and hope that he is a man of his word. And obviously, as you can see, he is. Now keep in mind this took place about a year ago, so this reel has been sitting in this box waiting for this video for about a year. I haven't opened it, so I don't know if the knob specs are right, but before we do open up this box, I want everyone to give a shout out and thanks to Chris. This is the guy over in South Korea that was generous enough to take time out of his day to ship this reel to me. And Chris has a YouTube channel, and I'm gonna put a link in the comment section, his YouTube channel, and I encourage everyone to go over and subscribe to his channel and watch his videos, because he's got a lot of content on bait finesse, and in particular he's got a lot of budget bait finesse content that I encourage everyone to go watch. So once again, this video is made possible by Chris, or better known as Kobe in Korea Fishing. Alright, so let's not delay any further. As you can see, this is a very, very nice box. Thick cardboard, quality material. You got your little clear window so you can see the reel. And I guess it's pretty straightforward. You just lift the top. And here we go. Here's the paperwork. And boom, check that out. And yes, he did spec it out correctly, because as you can see, I opted for the slim aluminum knobs. Wow guys, check this reel out. It is absolutely stunning. In fact, I'm gonna move all this stuff out of the way. Look at that. Now I have dozens of bait finesse reels, from cheap to expensive, and I think I already cherish this reel more than all those others. It looks super high end. It's very, very lightweight. Is that bronze colored? And yeah, I really, really love these knobs. Check out that shallow spool. But yeah, the Doyo Liger 30 with the optional shallow bait finesse spool. Who else other than me outside of South Korea has one of these reels? Now, I didn't buy this reel just to be different. I bought it for a specific reason, which I'm going to go over here in a second. But man, I'm just taking in all the details. It's been a while since I've handled a Liger 30, since I had to send the subscriber reel back to Billy. Look at all that. Now, just to let you guys know, the fancy box that came in was not empty. It actually came with, looks like a reel cover, which I'm going to open for you guys. And it's actually pretty nice. It's neoprene and mesh, and it's super tiny. I wonder if it'll even fit on the reel. And I guess some kind of warranty card possibly, and it comes with reel oil. Yep, comes with some extras hidden in the box. So since this reel is virtually impossible to get unless you live in South Korea, I'm not gonna go into a whole lot of details about it, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna point out some of the cool features of it before we pull my scales out and get some weights. Now, the entire frame and body is made of, I guess, a fancy graphite material that they call Fedron. So it's very lightweight, and I actually tend to favor composite bodied reels when fishing in winter because they heat up very, very quickly, as opposed to aluminum and even magnesium. Now everything on this reel clicks, including the drag star, of course. Now the drag star is made of aluminum and it is very ported, as you can see. And of course the spool tension knob clicks, and the space between clicks on this spool tension knob are different than the clicking spool tension knobs you'll see on Abu Garcia REVOs, even though they're made in the same factory. So these clicking spool tension feels better on this Doyo Liger than any Abu Garcia REVO that I've tried out. And the spool tension knob does feature, I guess, that line indicator that you see on LEWS reels. You basically adjust it by turning that little center section there with either a corner or fingernail to remind you what pound line you're using. And even the drag clicks. Of course, this is something that's gaining a lot of popularity, not just in bait finesse reels. Now they got that little, I guess, hidden hook keeper / line keeper that you guys saw on the Doyo website and how to use it. And you can see it comes with a pretty long, I guess this is at least a 90mm carbon fiber handle, which is a little bit long for bait finesse, but obviously I optioned for the slim aluminum knobs, and I'll let you guys take a closer look at these knobs. Very detailed, they feel very good in hand, and I chose these particular knobs over the, I guess, standard EVA because in my experience I found that these really thin aluminum knobs give you more feel when you're fishing really light weightless plastics. But you can see they look really good. And then of course you see the ultra shallow spool that is only 30mm. So before we pull the scale out, let's just do some quick comparisons with some reels that would potentially be competition for the Liger 30 if it was sold outside of Korea. Now the first reel I'm going to compare it with is going to be the ALDEBARAN BFS from Shimano. You can see that the BFS is longer and thinner, while the Liger 30 is shorter and wider. But the Liger 30 is noticeably lower profile. Look at that. The side plate of the Liger 30 is absolutely tiny compared to that of the ALDEBARAN BFS. So the ALDEBARAN BFS does palm really comfortably, but the Liger 30 actually palms smaller. It doesn't palm thinner, but it does palm a little bit smaller. It is super comfortable. And once again, the standard version of the Liger 30 is being sold in America as the LEWS Custom Light. Now since this reel cost me probably close to $350 once I spec'd it out, that kind of puts it in direct competition with this reel here, the DAIWA Gekabijin Air TWPE. I'll let you guys take a good look at the size comparison between the two. The Gekabijin is noticeably thinner than the Liger 30. And comfort wise, they palm a little different. This bulge on the side of the Liger 30 does fit nicely into your hand. But yeah, I really couldn't say which one I prefer. I'd have to fish them side by side for an extended period of time to make that decision. But once again, just look how small the side plate is of the Liger 30, even compared to the Gekabijin, and it is lower. So yeah, with that being said, we're gonna pull the scales out and get a weight on this spool and show you the main reason why I went to the trouble of buying this reel. So I think the big deal about the Liger 30 was the fact that it was supposed to be the first Doyo branded reel that came in at under 5 ounces, I believe at 4.9. Now that was with the stock knobs, not these heavier aluminum knobs, so I suspect that that weight is going to be a little bit heavier than advertised, but I'm okay with that. Okay, so my particular reel comes in at 5.17. So not quite as light as the REVO LTX or Shimano ALDEBARAN BFS or even the STEEZ Air, but still lighter than reels like the Alpha's Air. Now let's dig into this spool. Okay, moment of truth, I got my spool scale out and it's time to get a weight on this Liger 30 BFS spool. Okay, so let's take a look at it real quick. It is very, very shallow, pretty much on par with the JDM offerings. And the porting is more ovally instead of holes, and I like it. Reminds me of the REVO LTX BF8 spool. As you can see, it's got a long spool shaft like Shimano, and the spool shaft looks to be made of aluminum, and it's got a spool bearing. Now obviously you can see it is a 30mm spool, which is slightly smaller than the average BFS spool today. So let's not beat around the bush anymore. I'm going to turn the scale on, make sure it's on grams, and the Liger spool weighs a whopping 8.888 grams. And once it's settled, it's actually even more than that. So that's very, very disappointing, right? Because in today's bait finesse market, especially when you got the Chinese on a race to create the lightest BFS spool ever, 8.8 grams is heavy. That's about on par with the Shimano CURADO BFS. That's much cheaper. But I'm going to take this bearing off and we're going to get a true weight on it. Okay, so spool bearing is off, and let's check out the true rotational mass of this spool. 7.343. So much lighter than 8.8 grams, but still, by today's standards, this is actually very, very heavy. It's probably about 1/10 of a gram more than the Shimano ALDEBARAN BFS spool, but still far from the 6.2 grams of the Alpha's Air TW and way off the 5.3 grams of the Surnoya Dark Wolf Ultra, which is currently the lightest stock BFS spool in the world. So why did I spend all this money on this reel knowing that the spool is very heavy by today's bait finesse standards? Well, the easy answer is this. First of all, it is 30mm, but it has centrifugal brakes, not magnetic. And if these brakes look familiar, yes, these are the same brakes that you'll find in any LEWS that has their ACB system. So you got your 6, I guess, arms. I don't think you can turn them off and on, but they fly out during the cast and they rub on this brass ring and of course cause friction, slowing the spool down. Now the closer the ring is to the spool, the more braking force and friction you'll get. So of course you adjust that by turning this dial on the outside here. Now what's the importance of centrifugal brakes? Well, you're gonna have to wait and see, because the main reason why I bought this reel was to do a comparison of centrifugal brakes versus magnetic in bait finesse. And I have a couple of videos I plan on filming this winter that'll show you guys the advantages of centrifugal brakes over magnetic for bait finesse. So there we go guys, the DAIWA Liger 30 bait finesse model. I haven't even casted this reel yet, but it's already my favorite due to just how special and rare it is and the effort it takes to acquire it. Now I guess the next step is to spool the reel up and do a casting impressions video, and I'm even going to try to cast a trout magnet to see how it does with that. And then this reel is going to be participating in the massive Bait Finesse Olympics video that I have to shoot, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Alright guys, thanks a lot.